What is up, guys? Hey, what is up, guys? Guys. I don't know how to react. I'm having an out of body experience right now, so I apologize because I might say some belligerent shit on this episode. But before we get too deep into this episode, be sure to comment, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe because the vibes is at an all-time high with the Washington Commanders, and the vibes are at an all-time high over here at Bleeding B&G. Because what the hell? A playoff win? A playoff win. The vibes are at an all-time high because we haven't felt like this in 19 years. And to be honest, we didn't even feel like this 19 years ago with our last playoff win because we had Mark Brunell at fucking quarterback, to be 100% honest with you. And in that playoff win, I think he threw for like 40 fucking yards. And I'm not exaggerating. So it's night and day when you got Jayden motherfucking Daniels at the helm. I tried to tell y'all. And you know, we known to run a little victory lap or two, but I think this might be my favorite victory lap of all time. And the vibes is high, so I don't want to remind the Drake Mayhive that you guys were a part of the Drake Mayhive. But I've been stamping JD5 Jayden Daniels since last October when I saw him straighten up the SEC. Did I think there was a chance that we were going to be trading up for Caleb at one point? Yeah, I did. But thank God we didn't. Because we ended up with the chosen one. Leading us to heights that we haven't seen in years, in decades, multiple decades. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, please forgive me because I'm bound to say some belligerent shit. I done took a couple of shots off that LeBron Hennessy, off that Ain't That Our Ball. So I might cut up on this episode. So I'm going to try to get out of here as fast as possible before I say some shit I might regret. Because what the hell? What the hell? To give you a timestamp as I do for all of my episodes, today is Sunday. Or matter of fact, it is Monday, January 13th, 2025. And our Washington, it's about 12:30 a.m. And our Washington Commanders about an hour removed from putting belt to ass to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card round of the 2024 NFL playoffs, giving us our first win, our first playoff win that we've had in 19 years, since January of 2006. And that last playoff win was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. And before I get into this episode, man, I want to shout out our fans. I am so pissed that I couldn't get out to Tampa Bay. Because y'all really walked in their trap and took over that motherfucking trap. We hearing Terry chants in Tampa Bay like we in Landover, Maryland. We hearing MVP chants for Jayden Daniels like we in Landover, Maryland. Like I'm down the street. Shout out to the fans, man. We deserve this. And I'm so excited for not only myself, but everybody that been rocking with me for the last 4 years. We coming up on our 4-year anniversary. And when I say that we're at an all-time high, I've never felt like this doing this podcast. But I stuck through it, through the thick and thin, because I knew it was going to be light at the end of the tunnel. And that guy right there, y'all thought I was doing the most. Y'all thought I was on some Diddy shit when I said that he changed my life. Jayden Daniels really changed my life. Jayden Daniels really changed my life. And if you're a Washington Commander fan, and if you're under the age of 30, I'm only 29. Shit, if you're under the age of 35, you might be afraid to admit it, but it's okay. It's okay to admit that number 5 in Burgundy and Gold has changed our lives. He the one, bruh. And the title of this episode is going to be Ain't Over Yet. Because guess what? Our season ain't over yet. It ain't over yet. And I ain't going to lie to you. I was nervous as shit all week, to be 100% honest with you. I've been uneasy since we played Dallas, to be 100% honest with you. And I tweeted out earlier in the week that I was nervous as hell, like I was playing in the goddamn game. Because this is just unfamiliar territory for me as a Washington Commander fan. I'm not used to this. Because even in 2015, 2020, the last couple of times that we made the playoffs, I went into that wild card weekend though when we didn't have a fucking chance against Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. But guess what? I would love to line up against Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady right now with Jayden motherfucking Daniels. Because I like my chances with number 5 against anybody. I said it after the Falcons episode. Bring Patrick Mahomes. Bring Josh Allen. Bring Joe Burrow. Bring Lamar Jackson. Bring fucking Lamar Jackson. Yeah, dummies, I said it. I said it. Because y'all was quick to point out that I excluded him from the last episode. I promise you it was just an oversight. Because I'm not taking anybody over 5. I'm not. The Magic Man. Carrying a whole organization on his back. Rejuvenating a whole organization. Lamar went where it was set up nice for him already. Shout out to the Ravens organization. More power to you. But he ain't had to flip this whole organization into a complete 180 like JD5 has. And that's why I believe that he's the most valuable player in the NFL to his team. He's not going to win the MVP award. I'm not foolish. I'm not delusional. But the most valuable player to his team in the entire NFL is a rookie. And he went number 5 in burgundy and gold. And he right there plastered all over my wall if you're checking us out on YouTube. He the one, bruh. I know he went number 5, but he the one. He the one. He got not only me, he got the youngins that don't remember or haven't been through the thick of it, just simply due to their age, been through the years of fucking Dan the Dweeb. He got the youngins up to me as a damn near 30-year-old, up to the old heads that been reminiscing about the glory years in the 80s and 90s. He got us all feeling some type of way. I can't believe it. The season ain't over yet. Like I said, I was so nervous all week. Because the playoffs, let's be honest, man, the playoffs are super anticlimactic, man. Because, yeah, you got faith in your team and everything like that. But, it's a one-and-done scenario. It's the same reason why March Madness is such an epic, tournament in the springtime. The one-and-done scenario, you never know what happens in the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen. We've seen huge favorites go down in the playoffs. And while I got faith in number 5, you just never simply know. And the playoffs are so anticlimactic because if you do lose and you're coming off of such a high going into the game, it's like the lowest of lows that you're going to experience all season. And I simply didn't want to feel like that tonight. I'm going to be 100% honest with y'all. I don't know how I would have came on here if we would have lost. Y'all might have saw me cry on camera for the first time. And I ain't even going to lie to you. I cried before I came on here after the game, but those was definitely tears of joy. Thinking back to the times I was watching games with my grandmother. The last game that I watched with my grandmother was against the Cowboys last year. We got our asses whipped before she passed away this past April. She would have loved every moment of this. Thinking about all the OGs, all the Redskin fans, Washington football team fans, Commander fans, we deserve this. We done been through hell and back. But today makes it all worth it. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And before I get into my breakdown of the game, man, I mean that when I say that I'm not ready for this season to end. That's why I might say some belligerent shit like we about to go in Detroit and take over 8 Mile. Like I'm dead ass when I say that. Just simply due to the fact that I'm not ready for this magical season to end. This is a season of destiny. Because I ain't going to lie to you. I got a little bit of scorn Washington Redskin fan syndrome. When we went down 17-13 and the BUCS were driving again, I might have thought in the back of my head that this game was over. But it's a new day in Washington. We got Magic Johnson in the ownership in the booth, and we got the Magic Man at the quarterback position. Like, shit is different. That's why Bobby Wagner is able to come up with that fumble. That's why Zane Gonzalez doinks a fucking kick off of the upright and it hits into the field goal post. And it's good. We're not used to the ball bouncing like that in Washington. We're not used to it. That lets me know that there's good juju around this organization. We living right in that organization. All the guys that Adam Peters brought in, all the guys that Dan Quinn brought in on his coaching staff, Adam Peters brought in on his roster, they living right. And that's why I'm still talking about us competing in the 2024 season. We got a team of a bunch of guys that's just living right. And that's why I'm so excited for the future. But guess what? We got ball games to win. I told you, we about to take over 8 Mile. I'm about to talk so crazy. I'm about to talk so crazy all week. I'm about to talk about how Kay Cunningham looked like fuck everything Detroit, fuck everything Michigan, fucking Wolverine. I'm about to talk about how Kay Cunningham looked like Zero from Hoes. Like, everybody can get it. I'm about to talk about how Eminem been washed for the last 20 years. He ain't had a good album since like 01. Like, I told you I might say some belligerent shit on this episode. So let me hurry up and get into the game before I get canceled. Before YouTube, not canceled, because I know my Washington Commander fans are gonna be riding that. I know y'all feeling the exact same way. But before YouTube try to shut me down for saying some super wild shit. Let's start with the Golden Boy. Of course, you know, we start with number 5, the franchise. Jayden Daniels, 24 for 35 for 268 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and then 36 rushing yards to boot, resulting in another game where he had over 300 all-purpose yards. Like, and you wonder why I won't take another quarterback over this guy. And I told you before, we got Black Tom Brady because he's so cerebral. How long have I been telling you that Jayden Daniels might be the most cerebral nigga in the league? It's been since the Giants game in week 2 because he's been showing it for that long. He's been showing it for that long. And we always got a chance with him. We always got a chance with him. Especially when he has the ball last in the game. To be 100% honest with you, I was more nervous in the first 3 quarters than the last quarter. Because once I realized that we had a chance to have Jayden Daniels with the ball in his hands last, I knew this shit was curtains. The Brady effect. The new age kids, the youngins growing up, they about to know that as the Daniels effect. Because while Patrick Mahomes, I'll argue to the grave that he might be the greatest quarterback of all time. I think Jayden Daniels rival him in terms of just being cerebral and cerebralness. If cerebralness is a word. I told you I'm off the Henny. I might be making some shit up today. But that's just how I'm feeling. He didn't take sacks when he didn't have to. He didn't hold the ball for too long, like some of y'all concerns coming out of the Dallas game. Like he was just going to be soiling himself today. Like you haven't watched number 5 for the entire season. And he came up big on the biggest downs. He came up big on 3rd down. Think about the 3rd down throw to De'Ami Brown on the final drive. And we're going to talk about De'Ami Brown. Because he did a lot more than just running around today. He caught passes, ran around, scored touchdowns, did TikTok celebrations, and some more. De'Ami Brown had a fucking legacy game. Give De'Ami Brown a goddamn game ball right now. And I know it's been 4 years, but De'Ami Brown played like a 3rd-round draft pick tonight. De'Ami Brown played like a day 2 draft pick tonight. And I know I'm about to get into the pass game. Matter of fact, let's get to 5 first. Let's finish with 5 because I'll be foolish to take the spotlight off 5 because like he the one at the end of the day. But 5 to 1, bro. 5 to 1. And 5 is the reason why I think that we got a chance in Detroit. Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs might run for 250 yards, but guess what? Jayden Daniels is capable of putting up a 400-yard all-purpose game. And I ain't scared of that defense by any means. But before we look ahead to Detroit, let's cherish what we did tonight. something that we haven't done in 19 years. Like what, bruh? I was 10 years old the last time that we won a playoff game. I vividly remember watching that game with my parents. Today, I watched this game in my own house. My little bro, my cousin with me, my girl with me. Like, I'm a grown ass man now. And it's such an amazing feeling that I can experience with them. It was like a full circle moment. And I know I'm rambling right now, but that's what this team has done to me, man. Like, I know it's cliche to say that this team is special, but when you look back on it, no matter how many more games that we win, no matter how far we go, we're going to look back and say that the 2024 Washington Commanders were special. Because not only they put us on through an emotional roller coaster of a season, but they come up on top way more than we expected them to do in September. I'm talking about times 4, times 5 times more than we expected them to do in September. And they answered the bell every single time. And it's come to the point that if it's a close game, no matter who we go against, and I know we have a flawed roster. I know we're not the most talented roster in the playoffs. But it's come to a point, because they've shown me over and over again, if it's a close game, I like the Washington Commanders' chances. The comeback Commanders. Whether it be against the Eagles in the regular season, whether it be against the Falcons in the regular season, whether it be the game tonight. When you got Jayden Daniels, who has ice running through his motherfucking veins, you're going to always have a chance against anybody. Let's get into this run game. It's going to be pretty quick because the run game was subpar yet again. Brian Robinson was under his average of 2 yards that he's had for the last. Oh yeah, I corrected myself. We didn't call him by his nickname. Brian, as we named him last week on last week's episode, he was 10 for 16 for 1.6 yards average. Austin Eckler, who was crucial in the game, even though his stat line, his counting stats might not read it. He was 8 for 27 in the run game, but he had a couple of big catches, especially the one on the final drive to extend the drive, get the first down, force Tampa Bay to use their timeouts to ensure that we got the ball last, even with the piss poor, clock management by Todd Bowles. I don't know what the hell they were doing, but guess what? Todd Bowles was on Todd Bowles. Like, y'all was making him seem like the big bad wolf because he sends a couple of cute blitzes. Jayden Daniels laughed that shit in the face today. Even with Andrew Wiley and Brandon Coleman getting their ass whipped all fucking game. And we're going to get into them in a minute. No diddy. But matter of fact, speaking with the linemen, and I know I'm getting on the running backs. I know I've been calling them Brian because Brian hasn't had juice in about 3 months. But to be 100% honest with you, I just touched on the tackles, but the interior line, the two guards in the center, they've been getting their ass whipped for the last month. Tyler Biadasz, he ain't been really right since. I know they said he was sick against New Orleans. I don't know if he's 100%. But Nick Allegretti, he had us fooled for like the first 4 weeks. We actually thought he was good. He's ass. Sam Cosby not ass, but he got paid and he regressed since last year. And to be honest with you, when they were healthier, especially on the offensive line, but Detroit dominates on the trenches. So we're going to need to tighten up with the offensive line because I think that made Jayden Daniels' performance even more special, that the fact that he did all that I talked about in this episode, even with the offensive line getting their face beat in for 4 quarters. Getting pressure, instant pressure in his face damn near all game. And he still had a game to the tune of over 300 total yards. Different. And when we talk about a supporting cast and how he's Michael doing this with a bunch of Tito's, we're not just talking about the skilled players. Like, this offensive line ain't that. They ain't nice. Brandon Kelman's starting to look less and less like a gem of a 3rd-round draft pick. Andrew Wiley's fucking ass. We see why him and Nick Allegretti were backups with the Kansas City Chiefs. Because they was on the bench where they rightfully belong. But to see Jayden Daniels do that, man, I think that makes his performance more special. Let's get into the passing game because Terry not a Tito. I'm sorry, Terry. You're not a Tito. Terry like Jermaine. Now we gonna give Terry Janet. Terry Janet. While Jayden Daniels is Michael, Terry's Janet. And I'll say it right now. Tonight, during this playoff game, Terry McLaurin became the second best wide receiver in Commanders history, surpassing Santana Moss. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been one of them fans that's been hesitant to put Terry over Santana in terms of, ranking Washington wide receivers. While Terry has been the model of consistency and all that, I've seen Santana Moss have damn near 1,500-yard season with Mark Brunell at fucking quarterback. Receiving yard totals that Terry has yet to do in his season. And Terry is a model of consistency, and I said I was hesitant of putting him over Santana Moss. But guess what? That ends today. After that touchdown catch, I tweeted, with that catch, Terry McLaurin became the second best wide receiver in Commanders history behind Art Monk. And guess what? If Terry McLaurin win me a fucking Super Bowl as a wide receiver one after the year that he had, I might be challenging him with Art Monk. Old heads don't hate me. Because I looked at the analytics the other day, and I got a lot of over 60-year-old listeners. And shout out to y'all. Thank you guys for the support. So don't hate me for that. But Terry McLaurin is the modern day 2025 version of Art Monk. So, I think it makes perfect sense. Terry McLaurin had 7 for 89 and a touchdown. And I knew when he went up top on Jamal Dean on the first drive, even though it didn't result in any points. Oh, I knew what time it was. I knew that Jayden was gonna be looking for him. I knew that Cliff was dialing shit up for him, and I knew that Terry was locked in. And Terry McLaurin and all the leaders of this football team, Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and Bobby Wagner, from the first drive, they played like men possessed. They played like it was the playoffs, and they just needed everybody else to follow suit at that point. And I touched on him earlier. Y'all know we probably been the hardest on him in the community, but we gonna give credit where credit due. De'Ami Brown. De'Ami Brown had his fucking legacy game today. Now, I know he had them 2 touchdowns and 2 long-ass touchdowns in a meaningless game in October against the Titans in 2022, where he had more yards than he did today. But 5 for 89 and a touchdown coming up in a game that's 30 times more meaningful than that, I think it's fair to say that this was De'Ami Brown's best game as a Washington Commander. He answered the bell. I tweeted it earlier, and I was talking about Luke McCaffrey, and Lord knows he didn't do shit. But the point still stands. That teams that go further and further into the playoffs is usually due to an unsung hero, somebody that nobody really expected to really produce to the level that they end up doing. Think about how Miko Hardman was fucking a national name for 2 months after the Super Bowl. Nigga did NBA All-Star Weekend and some more shit. And that's after he got released by the Jets earlier in the season last year. There's always an unsung hero that has to step up for you to advance into the playoffs because you got to use your entire roster. And De'Ami Brown was that guy today. Thank you. De'Ami Brown picked the perfect time to play the game of his life. And somebody give De'Ami Brown the goddamn game ball right now. Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson and Brian had, over 20 yards in the receiving game. Like I said, Austin has a couple of crucial catches, and he proved today, if you didn't already believe, why he's so essential to this offense. Because he kind of gives you that Chris Thompson, J.D. McKissick effect, where he keeps you ahead of the chains. You can dump off a pass. You can beat the blitz with a check down to him because he's so prolific in the run game, and he showed that on that final drive, picking up that first down, staying in bounds, and doing what Austin Eckler's done. Such an amazing first free agent signing by Adam Peters. Let's get into the defense. Before I head out, like I said before, Bobby Wagner played like a fucking man possessed today. He was hitting dudes on the first play. He ran through Bucky Irvin's fucking face in pass protection on the first drive. Now Baker Mayfield did run the nigga over. I ain't about to lie. That shit looked like Carson Wentz against Roquan Smith a couple years ago. That shit had me flabbergasted. And it did result into a touchdown right before half the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That I think if Bobby stopped Baker Mayfield short of the sticks, that wouldn't have happened. But hey, other than that, he played a flawless game. He had half a sack, and he had the fumble recovery that honestly changed the game. That put us damn near in the red zone, where we got points and never trailed after that again. Bobby Wagner showing exactly like what I just talked about with Austin Eckler, showing why we bought him in as free agents, being leaders, showing that these guys have playoff experience and being have experiences being nice, like talented, top of their position type players in the NFL. And he brings that type of pedigree into the locker room each day, day in and day out. I don't know if I mentioned his half sack, but he did have a half sack. And he led the team in tackles with 8. Marshawn Lattimore, he was second on the team in tackles with 7. And that's because he was getting fucking baked in the first half. Everybody, national media, myself included, was hyping up that Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore matchup due to their prior history. Well, guess what? Mike Evans answered the bell, and I don't know where the fuck Marshawn Lattimore was to be found. I think he was 4 for 4 for 60 yards and a touchdown in the first half against Marshawn Lattimore, and it started on the first drive. Mike Evans had a quieter second half, but I know that Mikey Sanders still was placed on him for majority of that, where they ran more of a bracket coverage and had Lattimore going against McMillan. But Marshawn Lattimore is clearly not 100%. And to be 100% honest with you, that hamstring looked like it might be cooked. And I know hamstrings usually don't ever fully recover during the season, but he don't even look about 50%. They was going at Marshawn Lattimore like he was Benjamin St. Juste today. And I tweeted that due to, I believe it's due to his hamstring, because Marshawn Lattimore, one thing that set him apart when he was one of the elites was his technique. But I think that due to his hamstring, that he was playing with like Emmanuel Forbes style technique today. Like he was playing with no technique at all, losing leverage on every snap. That's why he looked so off balance. That's why he was begging for push-offs. Casual guys, casual fans that was in my mentions claiming that like Mike Evans was just body slamming him every play. That wasn't the case. He was playing with no technique. He was playing with no leverage. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Marshawn Lattimore. They were taking him out for bits and pieces of the game, putting Benedict St. Juste in there. But guess what? I didn't hear Benedict St. Juste's name today. So Benedict St. Juste had a decent game, because that's never the case. I know he almost got cooked on that near touchdown and went out of bounds, but he didn't. So we don't, hey, golf clap for Benedict St. Juste, because guess what? Marshawn Lattimore took your place today, because I don't know what the fuck that was. And at this point, if you're going to play at 30%, you might not want to play against Detroit, because Jameson Williams will have your hamstring laying on the 50-yard line, bro. And Amon-Ra St. Brown over the middle, I'm not feeling it right now as I'm talking about it. But you need to lock the fuck in, Sean. You only 28, bro. Like you can't be that washed. Like I don't know if you need a masseuse. Like I can give you some Rex, bro. Like on some no Deshaun Watson shit though. But like straight performance based, because you need to tighten the fuck up, because that performance today was piss poor. Hey man, I tweeted earlier today. It was the first thing on my mind. I dreamt about this shit. No diddy. I said, hey, it'll be nice if Deron Payne and John Allen have an Alabama Wall legacy game and bring 2020 vibes back, because we were only going to win this game if we stopped the run. Well, guess what? John Allen heard me. And Deron Payne heard me too for about a quarter, 2 quarters, because he had to leave the game because his pinky hurt. But John Allen, I don't know how many counting stats he had. I don't even know if he was on the box score with tackles or anything like that. But John Allen held up in the run game better than I think he did all season. He wasn't losing any ground. He was actually holding up the point of attack really well. And we held up against Tampa Bay's counter run game, which was the best in the NFL, really well. Johnny Newton flashed as well. Jeremy Chin laid a couple of big hits. I told you I think he's been the best player on the defense since December. And yeah, while Mikey Sanders still gave up a couple of plays, he definitely turned Mike Evans' TV off turned his faucet off because he wasn't giving up the shit that Marshawn Lattimore was giving up. I don't know what the hell Marshawn, to be 100% honest with you. Especially what they needed to do. Zay Gonzalez with a walk-off field goal. It was a doink, but guess what? He had a 50-yarder straight through the middle in the first half. It was a make. It was a make. And guess what? When you had a season of the destiny, when you in the midst of a season of destiny, you get those type of points. You get the ball bouncing that way for you. Trey didn't punt because we got Jayden Daniels fucking quarterback. Just another feather in Jayden Daniels' hat. I thought we had great kickoff coverage. We was beating Ricard White's brains in. It got to the point where I thought he was about to just stop taking it out, but NFL, they be crashing out, try to prove the point. And last but not least, shout out to the coaching staff, man. Dan Quinn brought out the big balls tonight. No Diddy. Matter of fact, all Diddy. I don't give a fuck. Dan Quinn made Sam Cassell jealous today. He was dragging them things today. Going forward on damn near every fourth down. Dan Quinn played to win today. He coached to win today. And that's why we came out and won this game. Because I think it were 4 fourth downs that we had, and we converted 2, and we didn't get 2 that we had on the plus side of the field, or at least in field goal range. Well, guess what? If we kicked 3 field goals, that would have ended up in 12 points. We converted 2 touchdowns on those fourth downs and got 14 points. It's math, man. Sometimes you got to take risks. And that was hardly Dan Quinn today because he was living on the wild side. But yeah, let me get out of here before I start cutting up. As always, man, if you're not checking us out on social media, checking me out, having a heart attack in real time during the game on X. I don't know what you're doing, but go ahead and do that. Our Instagram is @BleedingBNG, BLEEDING BNG. Our X handle is @BleedingBNG, BLEEDINBNG. So there's only one G on our X handle. If you're listening to us on audio-only platforms such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a rating. Please leave a review because you see we pushing out the content. So that way that if you're searching anything Washington Commanders, Bleeding BNG is that #1 content hub that pops up in your search bar. And guess what? We ain't done yet. So keep tapping into the channel. Reaction video coming tomorrow because word to Marcus Peters. We ain't done yet. I'll check in on you on the flip side. Peace.